Hello and welcome to this episode of The Archers.
No, you caught me off guard with that one. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the theme tune to The Archers.
Do 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 do. Nekromantik. So
Any
this is
non-English,
going to be such a tasteful episode.
yeah, any non-English people just like, what on earth are they talking about?
God. Right. Anyway, I'm with Dom. How you been, Dom?
I have been great. How about you, Steady?
I am excellent. Let's talk about fucking Nekromantik.
Wow, this movie, man, this movie.
At one point, this was basically considered like as low as cinema could go. Like you could not get something more tasteless than this.
Yeah, I literally just watched this yesterday in preparation for this, and I have so many thoughts and no idea how to get them out. Like,
I literally have the same thoughts. Like, I was like to my girlfriend, like, I have no idea what I'm going to say. I'd seen it before, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to say about this, but maybe if I watch it again, my thoughts will go in order. Absolutely no. I just have more sort of bleh to get out about this film.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, these things are usually freeform, so we'll just go for it anyway, but...
We'll go for it. I guess let's start with the filmmaking and then go on to, like, what we think about the film meaning-wise. Because filmmaking-wise, I think the word would be decent.
Yeah, it's not, like, obviously super, like, the most low-budget of low-budget thing you can kind of get. But
I love it. I love how DIY it is. I love how it's just such, like, grungy, awful... Like, it is somebody in his, like, Super 8. I don't know if I've seen another feature film, that shot on Super 8.
no, God, I don't think so. Like, I love what you say there about grungy as well. Like, God, this film is grungy. Like, oh my God.
It's just dank, like, dank in the actual meaning. Like, it's just dank, like, housing and flats and offices and a van, and that's like it. I mean, the gore effects are pretty good for like a zero budget film. Like that corpse looks fucking dope, and the music is pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think the music's pretty great. These things tend to usually have pretty decent music, especially German. Like, the music is usually decent, and like you said, the gore effects, like it had me saying "holy shit" at some points. Like, I was like, "Oh my God, that looks horrific." So it clearly got a reaction out of me.
Oh, it definitely. It's a very like, it's a really intriguing film. Like we talked about Last House on the Left, I feel really dirty watching it. I don't know if I felt dirty watching this. I felt really like I was quite captivated by it.
Yeah, same. I mean, I guess the movie strikes a tone instantly with, oh, here's a woman urinating, and I was like, oh, I know what film I'm watching. Like, I understand what film I'm going to be watching.
It's just instant fucking, like, bad taste, and I love the film's, like, it's got such a bitter sense of humor throughout it.
Yeah, massively. It is definitely a black comedy. Like, it's such a... They were clearly trying to be funny at points.
And now for let's find the most amazing connection we could found. You know what this film reminded me of most? I mean, okay, film-wise, I'll get onto something else later on when we talk about the meaning. But it's... Buttgereit considers himself very punk. And a lot of his short films, especially, as Mark Kermode would say, his unwatchable short films, especially like Captain Berlin, it's clearly punk. This reminds me of like a Misfits song.
Oh God, yeah, it's such a Misfits song. Like Die Die My Darling or something like that. It is so that.
Like literally something like Die Die My Darling or Last Caress. It's like this fucking shocking thing with actually a bit of artistry behind it that sort of whatever you can read into it, it's really not meant to be taken as anything particularly serious.
No, definitely not. Like, it's definitely the guy who's just like, fuck you in a lot of it. Like, like, the.
It's so fuck you throughout the whole film. And that's what I think it's real punk.
It's such like I mean, who else would make a love letter to necrophilia as a film? Like, it's not like.
It's true. Well, John Waters really likes this film.
That's not a surprise in any stretch of the.
Pink Flamingos might have been Super 8 in terms of Super 8, the films that I've seen. That might be the only other one, though.
That's true, actually. Yeah, I didn't think of Pink Flamingos.
But yeah, or it might not be, but like, yeah, he's looking at interviews with Buttgereit. He strikes me as quite German, and it like, you kind of expect some crazy dude making behind these films, but he strikes me as like kind of a normal dude, which is quite great.
Yeah, just some normal dude. Like, oh, also I made a film called Nekromantik. Do you want to watch it? Like, oh, it's about a woman who. Oh my god, this film, man! Like,
a woman who has sex with a dead corpse. That's like the best fucking scene. That's incredible. That.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 corpse fucking.
I was just like, oh, this is like softcore. Okay, like at points, like.
Softcore with the dead. And until that bit, the film is somewhat restrained. I mean, minus the gore effects. Like, there's no nudity up until that point, even though there's a lot of sort of implied nudity.
Yeah.
And let's kind of just go back to, like, the humor and the satire. Like, is there kind of satire in this, or is this, like, pure nihilism? Because I think there's something quite funny about this guy working for, like, Joe's Cleaning, like the dodgiest company ever. Like, oh no, the police aren't clearing this, it's Joe's Cleaning Service in their one van. Like, a guy who's such a fucking loser, like, his girlfriend leaves him for a dead body. Like, that's quite funny.
Yeah, I don't think this is real. I mean, it's got a hint of nihilism, but it's nothing compared to the rest of the stuff we've done. I think there's so much more satire in it. Like you said, the working for the cleaning company and then getting left for a corpse. That's how much you suck. It's such a nihilistic but then satirical look at that. Much more than any others do, yeah.
And I've read some analysis of the film. I've read a lot of that today, actually. Where it's saying it's making fun of a kind of specific genre of post-war German filmmaking called the Heimatfilm, sorry Germans, or the Homeland film in English, which is like these sort of post-war, very conservative, good versus evil morality tales that were from West Germany. Which, when I first read that, I thought, oh, this is going to be like some Nazi-era filmmaking.
Yeah.
No, it's like it's sort of between the Nazi era and the German New Wave. And that, like, the garden sequence where the guy gets murdered is very much making fun of that these sort of, these are the real Germans and they're completely feckless.
Yes, that's true. Like, obviously I hadn't read up on that, but that it's very cool that it's like a takedown of a certain genre. I love that. Like, that just adds again to that satirical nature that we were talking about then, that it obviously had, that he meant to do that. He meant it to be comedic and satirical.
That's the thing, like, honestly, like, a lot of the film I just wanted to fucking laugh. Like, even the corpse fucking sequence, which is the most well shot bit in the film, but then it got, like, the kaleidoscope turns on, and it's just like, this is actually fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
but I think they knew that it was ridiculous is the whole point. Like, it's not. I guess it is sincerely done, but it's really ridiculous as well.
Another possibility for the kind of meaning behind this film that, honestly, if I talked to Buttgereit and he said this is all meaningless, I wouldn't put it past him, but, like, it's kind of a troll of the censorship boards. But this was never put to the German censorship board, but Buttgereit apparently said in an interview that he never thought he'd actually end up making this. It was intended as, like, a troll of the censorship boards because a lot of shit was getting banned in West Germany back then. So he thought he'd just make the ne plus ultra of something to get banned.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I could see that, just like a trying to push it as far as he could kind of thing.
Very, very much succeeds on that. Like, uh, there's it really seems to be very divisive in terms of the film's worth. I mean, it got like pretty well critically acclaimed at the time, and it didn't actually cause a big controversy until Necromantic 2 came out. But like, I see this like the attack of like bourgeois moral standards. I believe I've seen it written as.
Yeah.
That's like, I see that, and you know, it's about like working class Germans as well, which is pretty neat.
That's the thing when you said like how good it actually, because I don't know how much I really like this film. Like like I give it when I was
I noticed on Letterboxd you gave it a 2.5.
yeah,
out
I
of
give it
5.
2.5 because I'm just like don't really know how much I like it, and I think it has worth, but then I'm also like, did he actually mean anything? And it was a load of shit. Like it confused me a lot. I'm not gonna lie, this film.
When I finished it, right, I was like, that's quite decent. And after spending like half a day researching it, I'm like, nah, I actually quite like this movie. I think I've added like the Buttgereit box set to like my in future possible purchases, because I'm like, I think I actually quite like this dude.
Yeah, yeah, as like a
Like, this is
actually looking into it
this
kind
is
of thing.
grassroots. Yeah. But this is as like grassroots filmmaking as it comes. And to come from like fucking nothing and make these cult films that are completely endearing and that like pushed so many boundaries, I have so much respect for that. And the directing is pretty decent.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say the directing is actually decent. Like, obviously nothing absolutely groundbreaking in any sense of anything, but it's yeah, directed and shot pretty okay, especially for the. I think I read that the budget was just nothing. That even use like stock footage and stuff at points, and then
I couldn't. Did you find a figure? I couldn't find it. I've just seen it said like no
yeah,
budget. Which
I could never find
yeah,
a
it's clearly
figure.
no
It was
budget.
just like basically not like.
I mean, like the acting sucks. Like there's the bit in where they're about to fire Joe, and I'm just like, I was laughing. I was
Yes.
like, this is
Yeah.
such bad like pornography quality acting, but again, it's endearing.
Yeah, it's endearing, and like I also feel like they probably knew, right? Like that's like the whole point. I think,
Didn't care.
like, I think that's the whole point of the film. Like,
It really, this shouldn't have been so pleasant to sit through. I mean, I think if it was any longer than an hour 10, it wouldn't have been. But like, I was like entertained. And you know what fucking sequence I love, right? I loved the movie within a movie. I thought that was hilarious.
oh yeah, that is so funny. The slasher film. Oh, it's great. Like,
And again, like, Shakespeare is so punk to have this sort of scene, which is this attack on our moral standards in Nekromantik. Like, it's such a fucking joke. It's hilarious.
man, this film, like, I did not know what I was going to say going into this because I was just like thinking about like when they're hanging up the body on the wall and collecting the fluids from it underneath it with plates, and I'm like, oh my god, what is this? Like,
Speaking of the hanging on the body, editing. Pretty good editing.
yes, yeah, decent edited as well. Like, again, for
You know what's a fantastically editing sequence?
Go for it.
The bit where he murders the cat.
oh yes, yes,
It's like actually really well edited.
yeah, and like, God, it's so weird because now you're saying everything. I'm like, I'm agreeing with you. Where I'm like, oh my god, it's actually pretty decent. All of this stuff in it, like,
Yeah. So like I think, I mean now to get a bit more critical on it, I think the main point of comparison film wise is Crash, is the David Cronenberg film Crash.
Oh, okay.
And the book as well. And like, but this I think the main theme of both that and Crash is the connection between sex and violence.
yeah, sick.
And this yeah, it's like a theme in this, but this doesn't explore it very much, whereas Crash, and I don't think Crash is that good of a film, Crash does explore it, and the book especially explores it very well. This is like a more superficial version of that, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's no real exploration in this, is it? It's literally like because it's the connection between sex and death, basically. But it just shows it kind of rather than exploring it or really portraying it in any way. It's just like these people will fuck corpses. That's kind of literally it. Like
fuck corpses and then kill someone in the graveyard and then come heavily
while killing himself. Yes, that ending scene. Oh my god,
I think that's one of the most mental there are like two of the most mental sequences in film history ever in this film.
Oh, which is the other that you're thinking?
The corpse fucking.
Okay, oh well, okay. Didn't really need to ask, actually.
Like I can kind of see like the symbolic kind of meaning that he's just like, yeah, fuck it, everything's so terrible that I'm just gonna kill myself, and I enjoy that because I'm, turned on by death, and really aren't they the same things? You can kind of see that arc in it. That like once he gives in to the fact that this is kind of his thing, he's happy, and then he kills himself.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to go. This film has like blown my mind, honestly. Like it's like talking about all this like horrible stuff we've been talking about in the past episodes, and then Nekromantik's the one I'm like, I don't know what on earth happened or what I'm saying. Like,
it's so true. This is like the most confounding thing we've watched so far.
Yeah, at least
because you don't.
All the others had some kind of like, they were horrific, but had some like thrill or story in any capacity to them. Like, this is just, I don't know. Like,
it's borderline a conceptual art piece, frankly.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it is just like they had this one idea, and they're like, "Fuck it, let's create something around necrophilia romance." And it was like, how do you make a film about that? Like,
it's true. I mean, it's true. I think for the large part, he succeeded. I want to read you something, right? This is a paper in Kino Eye by Dr. Linny Blake, who I believe teaches at Manchester Met. What do you think of this? Buttgereit's distinctive alienating musings on the existential isolation of the desiring German subject. God, I hate reading out loud. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at reading out loud, audience. It's a reimagining of a deeply repressed historical past, and his highly self-reflexive plays on the cinema's capacity for the reproduction of regressive ideologies positions him not only as a director par excellence, but a major contributor to the cinematic art in Germany. Dom,
Jesus fucking Christ! Oh my god!
I think it's a bit much.
I think that might be a bit much. I mean, that's a lot of academia in there, but it's like, really? Nekromantik? Like, I get...
It's very interesting.
I get what he's saying, and I see a lot of, like, Freudian uncanny kind of stuff in there almost as well. But it's, like, such a reach. Like, so much of it is just a reach when you think about the main premise of what is happening in this film. Like,
nothing in this film was intended on anywhere near this deep
exactly
level. I mean, there's another thing I read, which is it's an allegory for AIDS, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That's not pushing it as far as this director par excellence.
No, and I could see that as an allegory. I honestly think, though, that it would just be like, that's all bullshit. This is just supposed to be ridiculous. Like,
I agree with certainly the word ridiculous, but like, it's just, there's such a dichotomy between the fact that it's clearly like artistry in its making, especially making it on zero budget, but also the fact the film seems completely unwilling to like do anything remotely intellectual, like it is an exercise in like bad taste and trolling the audience constantly.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I could even make a kind of argument for some Lynchian Suburban and Blue Velvet stuff almost in there, but it's so, like, against...
I see that.
against the backdrop of a woman fucking a corpse. It's so hard to ever, like, it's just so hard for me to be like, yes, this intellectual, like...
I think there's a bit of a joke in the fact this guy, this fucking schlub, has such a pretty girlfriend. I think there's a bit of a, like, you know, this is how cinema is to that.
Yeah.
The film's so, like, nihilistic and, like, trolly. I think that's just kind of part of the joke.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense as well. Where it's like... and then she leaves him for a corpse is, like, the best thing ever, basically. Like, imagine
it's
getting
a really
left.
good punchline. Dead, like when she's reading that like love book.
Well, yes, I know. This episode is just us losing it way more than we ever have because this film is something else.
Nekromantik.
I know.
I think you've got to be really fucking like us to watch this movie. Like, you cannot recommend this movie to like almost anybody.
Oh no, I'm not gonna like. Sometimes films we've watched and stuff, I'll tell other people I talk to be like, "Oh, watch these. Oh, we're doing a podcast. Watch this film." This one, I'll just be like, "Listen to us talk about it. Do not watch this fucking thing." Like.
No, literally, yeah. It's such a, like, admirable film, like... You know what's weird, right? So, like, occasionally I'll watch a movie, like Clerks or Primer. I know Shane Carruth is now completely problematic, but, like, yeah. Occasionally I'll watch a movie and go, I'm inspired to make a movie. The fact that that happened after rewatching Nekromantik the other day is, like, a shock to the system for me.
I could see it, though, because it's that grungy DIY. You've not seen Gummo, have you?
No, I've not.
No, very Gummo-esque and very different way to Gummo, but very Gummo-esque of just like zero fucking... Well, Gummo had a hell of a lot more budget, actually. But like, just that grungy, like, punk feel that you talked about as well. It's so
I love
that...
the sentence, Gummo had a hell of a lot more of a budget. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, it's just because we know Gummo had a small, tiny amount of money.
Like, you know, let's get a camera, let's make a gore film. You can clearly do it if you have enough kind of inventiveness. Like, the dream sequences in this, pretty inventive. Even the car crash sequence at the beginning, it's really quite good. The corpse fucking sequence, it's such a, like, efficient movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And is the ending, is that, like, directly leading into the second one? Because I've not seen the second one.
From my research.
Yeah. Which is just...
The ending is fucking hilarious.
It is absolutely hilarious. Just...
Like, that's clearly a joke on sequel bait.
Yeah, I know. We've not even talked about how it's like these the implied memories of like his father killing his pet leads to all of this and stuff like that, and it's just like that's like as story as you get within this as well. Like it's like this necrophilia and all of the depraved stuff this guy does is from his dad killing a pet. Like
that. There's a connection there with his short film Me Puppy, which I just watched today, and that actually is, as Kermode would say, an unwatchable short.
Oh,
where,
God.
Like, it's a documentary about his dad, and, like, who knows how real this is. Like, being just, like, suffering medical problems and being kind of horrible and sitting on the TV not doing anything all day. And then at the end, it's like, oh, he had a heart attack and died. Here's him dead in his armchair.
Jesus Christ!
Some kind of Freudian kind of... Yeah, and it's like a documentary. Who knows? It's a troll or not. It's so, like, punk. That really was like, wow, I just watched 7 minutes of this, did I?
Yeah. So now I'm trying to figure out if this guy is being a troll or if he really has some daddy issues going on. like...
Oh my god. Like... How do you pitch this to your crew? How do you go, okay, I need an art department person. We're making a film. It's called Nekromantik. We need a corpse. Can you do that? And then can you get like a little stick to put on it, please?
I've always wondered how he like pitched it to the actress, where it's like...
Okay, it seems like a ridiculously minor role, but looking at her filmography, she's in Wings of Desire.
Oh my god!
Like someone who had zero career.
She's like, oh yeah, I was the girl that fucked the cops and
It reminds me of that Troll 2 documentary where they're like, we didn't put this on our CV for ages, and then people kept realizing we were in this, so we had to put it on our CV because otherwise it looked like we were trying to hide it.
Yeah, I love how this is probably easily the most explicit episode we've done yet as well, and we talked about Antichrist first. And somehow the Nekromantik episode is way more explicit. Like,
last one, serious discussion of the Vietnam War and, you know, America in the 60s and all this. This one, fucking corpse fucking.
Necrophilia, boys!
I actually really want to watch the documentary, Corpse Fucking Art, and there's another one that I can't remember the name, which is Buttgereit's a part of on, like, German censorship. It's a good troll.
Oh, yeah. Like... Honestly, this movie, after, like, talking about it now as well, it has blown me away. Like, I don't know. Like,
I think I really like this, actually. I can't believe I'm fucking saying this. Like, after I was researching it, I'm like, what the fuck? Do I really like this film? I seem to, like, admire it.
I really need to see the second one as well now.
Yeah, I thought the same. If I had had time this afternoon, I would have watched it. Like, I'm gonna watch Buttgereit's other films now. And I mean, I should say, like, it's not that good of a film. I mean, I'd say it's decent. I think decent's the watchword. Like, it is a film.
Yeah.
It's like, it's poorly acted. It's admirable for its budget, but, like, it is shoddy.
Yeah.
There's no story to it.
That's the, like, thing that I'm struggling with, where that's the thing, that this thing has no story. Like, you know what you're getting into if you go in there. Like, this film is just you going in to watch ridiculous shit happen, and like it's
and you know something, like any other filmmaker, right? It would have been girlfriend leaves him for a corpse at the end of the second act, right? He's gonna go kill his girlfriend. Nope, none of that. No kind of arc.
No,
kills himself.
Just kills himself instead. It's that's such a troll move as well, isn't it? Where it's like, oh, you're such a piece of shit. She left you for a role, for a corpse. Just kill yourself. Like, it's such a man.
Should we do final thoughts, or do we have more to say about this?
I don't know.
I should say as well, banned in the UK, obviously, and then available uncut in 2014.
Yes, it took a while, didn't it?
Well, it's the Arrow Blu-ray, which now I want to get, because I watched a shitty stream of this, which must have come from, like, a DVD of it. I presume you watched the same one, the one that's on YouTube. And I would have quite liked to see this on Blu-ray. Like, I saw an interview with Buttgereit, and they asked him, like, oh, don't you prefer it being on, like, you know, bootlegged video and, like, scratch 16mm print? And I agree with him here. And he went, of course not. Like, this is how it should be seen. Like, it looks like an actual movie now. I'd prefer it than this.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Like, yeah, it's seeing films on heavily scratched prints is pretty fun, and horrible bootleg videos, there's like an element of it being kind of dirty and all that, but at the end of the day, I just prefer a decent transfer.
Yeah, same, exactly. Like, obviously it adds...
I love, apparently rumors sorry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna agree, like, obviously the original kind of scratched aesthetic adds to that grungy feel, but I just love watching a film on a nice transfer that, like, I can watch.
And, like, a good transfer of, like, a grungy film. Like, okay, this is such a weird one, but I think one of the best transfers ever is the Miami Connection transfer when that got re-released. Because it looks like a grungy film from the 80s made for no money, but it's also watchable and in HD.
Yes,
I
exactly.
think a good transfer can do that. I like how this is such a, like, horror typical that there's such, like, rumors about this film, because at the time it's like the heroine from Pushers is real, of course it's fucking not. The corpse from Nekromantik is real, of course it's not.
Of course it isn't.
People believe that at the time.
That was,
Like, yeah, they just dug a fucking corpse up and filmed it on a film set under, like, I mean, it's probably had no lights in fairness, but like, yeah, just dug a corpse up.
I'm gonna say that would be pushing it a little far, I think.
But like, it's such a dirty film. I could see people believing that.
Yeah, true.
It's a hell of a lot more believable than Megan is Missing is real.
That is very true. It is a lot more believable than that.
Oh, right. I guess final thoughts, Dom. What do you think of Jörg Buttgereit's Nekromantik?
Honestly, it's still not a clue. Like, when we usually do the like recommendation, like I don't think I could recommend it. Like, watch it if if you want to see some. I don't know. It's such an insane film, and I think it is worth watching if you're really into extreme cinema, obviously, but only ever that. Like, what do you think?
I would say if you've made it this far through, if you've listened to us lose our minds for the last half hour and you're interested, then you're probably the kind of person who wants to watch it, and it is on YouTube at the time of recording. Yes. So like, you're only losing an hour of your life, which you will never get back. But like, after watching it or rewatching it for the second time yesterday, I was like, I think this is pretty decent and enjoyable, but I still don't really know how to piece together my thoughts. But after talking to you and researching a bit, I think I quite like this film, actually.
Yeah, like, I think it's decent, and decent is the main word to go off with. Yeah. Like,
this is no masterpiece. Like, I know we've kind of sung its praises a bit. Like, we don't know, none of us think this is anything other than like a heavily flawed film, but it's just so. Like, there's nothing to compare it to. Like, I compared it to Crash earlier, but, like, this is not like Crash, or even, like, the Book of Crash. Like, it's just its own world.
Yeah, I think the best place to leave Nekromantik at is it's definitely its own thing.
So, we've gone from flawed, grungy, DIY, Nekromantik to... So, Dom, what are we doing next week?
I know how much you adore this film, Stunner, so I'll let you tell everybody what it is.
This is going to be the best thing we've talked about. You know, we could do 200 episodes of this podcast and it would still be in like the top 5 films we could possibly talk about that would suit the podcast. It is Julia Ducournau's debut feature, Raw. It is one of the absolute best fucking films of the last 10 years. I'd say top 5 of the last 10 years. Like, it's just... There's so much to talk about it. This is gonna be like... me and Dom saw it for the first time, 4 years ago only now? And I've seen it so many times since then. I think the only film I've seen twice in the cinema. Like, I'm so excited to talk about it. It's a fantastic film. And if for some reason you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's amazing. It's gonna be a good episode. It will be a lot more serious, possibly, than this one.
Yes, if you wanted to hear us gush about a film that we genuinely adore, Raw will be the one.
Like, it's basically this, Audition, and Clockwork Orange that we could gush so much about. Like, it's incredible. I'm so excited.
Yep, so that's a good tease to end it off on.
Yeah, well, thank you for listening to Alex and Dom fucking lose their minds for half an hour.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time, okay? You've been listening to the Extreme Cinema Podcast with Alexander Sternberg and Dom Loach. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing, as it really helps us out. The original artwork for the podcast was done by George Arnold. The Extreme Cinema Podcast, available where all good podcasts are available.